turning up that way.
Yeah.
Is what I hear.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming to Daviess County October meeting. We appreciate you being here today. A little bit of rain, but we needed it today, so that's a good thing.
Not enough rain.
Let's go ahead and start the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, roll call. Tony Dungeon.
Present.
Mike Sprinkle.
Here.
Tom Schaefer.
Present.
Darren Holder.
Present.
Marilyn McCullough.
Present.
And Mike Myers, not here. And of course, I'm here. Did everybody have a chance to go over the meeting minutes from the 28th meeting that we had?
Motion to approve?
I have a motion by Marilyn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Tony, second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposition, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Dan?
After the last meeting, I'm sure everyone's glad to see me again. That is, no, this was in the work. First off, I, from the bottom of my heart, appreciate everything you did with that, without going into detail. I hope this isn't in bad form. This was kind of in the works before that meeting. All I'm asking for in this is to take the money that Robert was going to be paid but wasn't paid because he left for a series of days and months, and be able to transfer that up to my bonus category so that I can bonus out the people that did the extra work. It's new money, it's already in your budget, but since it does involve salaries, it's important that you get an up or down vote on that. That's it, it's $6,500.
Pretty straight up.
Yeah, I mean, I did.
From you, it's
Every
pretty
now and
straight
then,
up.
yes, I like to be less complicated, whatever works for you. But
I'll make the motion we approve this request.
Motion by Mike Sprinkle to approve the $6,500. Do I have a second? You got a smile.
yeah, I
All right, I'll second.
Second by,
you guys are more than generous this year. I have nothing.
second by Tony Dungeon. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposition?
Opposed?
All right, Tom Schaefer opposes. Motion passes. All right. Kelly?
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
I am here for, it looks to be the salary ordinance for my current pay. We just had that in contract form in July. It is a grant-funded line in 8104, and we're just going to reclassify that from contractor to employee salary. The auditor has helped, so we're just getting it all cleaned up.
Yeah, that one's just a straight through. No. Any questions on that one? Do I have a motion for that one? Tom Schaefer.
Move to
Have a motion
approve.
by Tom to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Darren Holder. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Passes. Clerical assistant.
Due to increased office call volume, as well as increased patients, and our full-time person for the front desk on long-term medical leave, I'm going to need to use our part-time clerical assistant a little extra this year. So I'm proposing a transfer from funds left over and overtime to cover her salary, and that is for the rest of the year. Welcome to answer any questions.
Any questions for Kelly? $3,500. If no questions, do I have a motion to approve?
I move we approve.
I have a motion by Darren Holder to approve.
Second.
I have a second by Tony Dungeon. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thanks, Kelly. All right, GPC abatement. Kevin, good morning.
Good morning.
Mr. Bryant, good morning.
So Kevin Gady here, representing GPC, Vice President of Finance, here to present our property tax abatement proposal to you guys. So collectively with me today, I have Shannon Dalton, the Washington Plant Manager, and Mr. Jimmy Kent, Senior Vice President of Sales, here with us today. So between GPC, the Economic Development Authority, and the county, we've been working on this project together for several years. As such, we wanted to be here in person this morning to thank you for your time and patience as we work through all the details. GPC is a family-run business with the fourth generation sitting here with me today, Jimmy, and we strive to provide great service, superior product quality, while turning Midwest's abundance corn into ingredients for the food, beverage, nutraceutical, personal care, and industrial markets. We appreciate the support of the council on our entirely new expansion project. The total spend for this expansion is over $100 million. As we speak, our engineering teams continue to install a new wet line, bagging system, and they're making modifications to our staging warehouse. As a result of the work, and with your support, the employees of GPC will be able to make significantly more of the high-quality ingredients our customers depend on to meet the desires and dietary requirements of a growing world. The project is in the final stages of construction. We anticipate hiring 4 operators in the near term, followed by another 4 operators in the spring. As sales increase with the new production capacity, we expect to hire an additional 8 operators for a total of 16 over the next 5 years. Additionally, maintenance supervisor and an E&I tech will also be needed or converted through the GPC ranks. Salaries for these positions range from over $47,000 per year to over $90,000 per year, depending on position and experience. We thank you for your support, and we look forward to continuing to be a good economic partner for Daviess County community. Are there any questions that I can answer?
Good morning. Obviously, we're glad to have GPC here and part of Daviess County, and I'm sure GPC has benefited from the relationship with Daviess County, or they wouldn't be expanded, obviously.
Yes.
When did this project begin construction?
The actual construction began, I would say, about 2018.
Why is the council just hearing about it today when the abatement process is really part of tax savings to you, which should have been done as part of the decision-making process, I would think. So why, 5 years later, are we actually getting presented with the abatement request?
So we ran into some permitting issues that delayed the start of the project. We've had changeover in leadership, and so just as things have evolved, it just keeps moving down the line. So,
I would just think that'd be something that would be
yep.
top, on one of your top priorities. I guess you realize that is your responsibility to get that
Correct.
in. Okay.
That's why we're here today. I mean, we're not gonna Zoom call this, and wanted to be here face to face for it.
Okay.
Brian, say something.
Can't hear you.
1 second, Brian. Technical difficulties.
I guess while we're waiting for Brian, is this a standalone facility, separate from what you have
In
today?
Muscatine?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is an entirely new expansion project in the Washington plant. So this is not a replacement in kind, it's brand new.
All new.
All new building, equipment, everything.
Has any of the assets, real or personal property, been put into service?
Nope.
Yet?
Nope,
Okay.
they're coming into service at the start of the year.
Okay.
This may be the first time it's been approached to the council, but a lot of us, his predecessor was involved in it early on. And Brian and I met, I think, with you,
Yes.
I did as well, yeah.
and that's been 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's been a while. So economic development's been working on this for several years.
Right.
Because of the issues that
Yeah.
they had, it hasn't come to the council up
Yeah.
until.
But
I would think with sometime in between there, we would have surely had time to come to the council. I mean, from being in private business here in Daviess County myself, talked with the Economic Development Board, Dave Cox at the time. Hey, before you push dirt, before you begin any construction, that abatement needs to be approved. I mean, so I think, and we've had trouble in the past. There was an issue with GPC on the last abatement. That's why we ended up with a GPC bond. And I just think we got to get things in the right order.
The last
if we're
one,
gonna do it.
to be fair, that was a TIF bond, and this is an abatement. So
I
we're
realize
we're
that.
trying to avoid that confusion that happened last time with this one, and that was some of the reason why we were delayed in coming here, because we're trying to find the right thing that is the win-win for everybody.
Yeah, I understand. It's a big investment, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
I just want to make sure the process in the future is done in
100%
proper
agree.
order.
It'll be more streamlined in the future. This
I-
one is
I've-
just one of those weird, there's a lot of turnover between
You are
Bryant's
Bryant.
side, our side, and, you know, not to put blame anywhere.
And
It's-
Grant had explained, it's been difficult to make sure that we don't abate existing equipment property,
Correctly.
which has been a hurdle. So that's been part of the issue in itself.
Grant, do you have a comment?
Yeah, real quick.
Can you step to the mic, please?
Grant Sports Intruder. So to be fair to them, it does specify in their application, this is an expansion, it's not a replacement. So your questions are good, and what we're talking about here is new personal property, new real property that's gonna be abated. Part of the question probably relates to the bond, because we do have that shortfall that we have to figure out relative to the bond. And I know the discussions have happened with economic development relative to making sure we meet the shortfall. And if correct, it is specifically for the expansion, not for anything in the past.
And to be fair, the GPC specific bond, the shortfall GPC paid for.
I understand
That
that.
any other
Hello?
shortfall is not on GPC.
Brian, hang on just a
As
second.
we structured that previous bond that GPC had and our parent company, Kent Corp, owned. So anything that was short came out of our own pocket. And so it did not, anything here in the future is not on GPC. There is some other planning that must have fallen through the cracks because we owned both sides of our bond.
I understand. When you look at this abatement, nothing to do with bonding. It's just gonna be a straight tax abatement.
Correct.
So it doesn't affect the TIF itself.
No, and we're even structuring this, and if Ryan's on the phone, he can speak more to the structuring of the straight TIF. It's less in the front and more in the back to avoid any potential shortfalls for that reason.
Okay, so it's not gonna be a 10%, 10, 20, 30. So what is actually the,
It was in that
It in there?
packet. It should be the very last
That
page,
packet, it's rear loaded.
provided by Baker Tilly. They provided the work for Brian.
Make sure that we have
Bryant,
it.
you're online at this point. Would you like to make a few comments, Bryant?
Yeah, can you all hear me? All right.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, hey, great. Sorry, not sure where the technical issues came from, but glad it's working now. And one, I apologize for not being able to be there in person. I was explaining to the mayor here, who was sitting across from me in the Reagan Airport here in D.C., that it's kind of funny. It's ironic that GPC was able to make it in person, and I'm calling it via Zoom on the East Coast. But yeah, it's thank you all for making it work to where I could join. Good discussion. I heard some of it. Tom, to your point earlier about the timing, one, we all agree with you. This should have been wrapped up. I mean, I think I see letters in my office dating back to 2014, 2015, right? Going back to these same discussions. So, as Kevin mentioned, there's just been turnover on every level, right? And it's a complicated deal to put together, given the fact that as the discussion has moved forward, there are several outstanding bond obligations that we have to work around. That, in addition to the fact that DPC has such an immense investment here in DPC, here in Daviess County, which we are
incredibly grateful for, that there are some odd provisions in state statute that if we were to issue a traditional tax abatement, the 100%, 90%, 80%, so on and so forth, that you could inadvertently go in and abate existing assessed valuation, which GPC, we love you guys, but we want to incentivize the ongoing expansion, right? So we had to structure it a little bit differently, and we worked very closely with Baker Tilly, with Jason Semler on this at DCEDC's expense, and we came up with a scenario to where GPC is the abatement we structured for them and that you have in front of you today is a modified 10-year personal property tax abatement, generally following this schedule, 30% for the first 3 years, then 60% in years 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and then years 9 and 10, 65%. So in the first 3 years, they're paying 70% of the property taxes on that expansion, right? In addition to their existing property tax obligation that isn't part of this expansion, right? And then, so it's almost backloaded in terms of the abatement instead of front-loaded, where the maximum in a traditional abatement schedule, the maximum benefit is in the earlier years, and then it kind of falls off. Whereas in this situation, we had to structure it in the opposite to account for those two items I mentioned earlier. So it is a little bit complicated and took a little more time, far more time and intricacies than your standard abatement. So.
Thank you, Brian.
Does that answer
Yep.
those questions?
Perfect.
Okay. So, and I guess I'll also add too, in addition to the decision, right? It's the but for clause, right? But for this tax abatement, GPC would not have done this expansion here. The letters that I mentioned dating back to 2014, 2015, which many of us were not even remotely involved then. They agreed to a $3.1 million incentive based on the figures that were provided at that time, and that were to come in the form of a tax abatement or the equivalent of that tax abatement in a bond issuance with the TIF, whichever made more sense. In working with GPC and working with the Redevelopment Commission, we felt that the tax abatement is simpler, it's less costly, and it does make more sense. So that's where if you'll actually look at the paperwork that was provided, the total value of that abatement over that 10-year time frame is about $3.1 million. So that's where GPC made that decision in good faith that Daviess County and the folks that were involved back in 2014, 2015 would hold true on the promises we made, right? And that's what's in front of you all today. So hopefully that helps with that as well. Kevin, do you have anything to add to that? I know I don't even know if you were involved back then.
No, I wasn't even in 2014. I wasn't even with Kent Corporation at the time. So
yeah.
No, and the project has changed in scope and size and drastically increased over the years. To no fault of anyone's. It's just the way things work, right? So we're just, we're grateful for the opportunity here and appreciate the relationship that we do have.
Appreciate you guys making the trip out.
Yeah.
I'm glad someone could, Kevin.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like you live here or anything. We got you.
So is the mayor awake? How come you can't show him?
Yeah.
You know what? Mayor, you want to say hi? He's
Yeah.
there he is.
You're looking for a motion?
No, does anybody have any questions, any additional questions for Kevin or GPC at this point?
I'd just like to say that I appreciate your commitment to Daviess County. I was part of the Growth Council back when we got you all to come to Daviess County 20-some years ago. And as a farmer, I do appreciate you guys buying our corn and paying a good price for us. And I've been driving around this expansion project out there for the last 3 years and watching it go up, and just appreciate all you're doing for Davis County. You're paying your employees well. You have good benefits from the folks that I've talked to. And just glad you're a part of our county here.
Thank you.
And I met your dad 20-some years ago, too. Yeah. Thanks again.
Appreciate everything.
Grant, would you like to read the resolution, please, for us?
Sure.
We do have one. Of course, I'm all digital. Thank you.
Okay, so we have a declaratory resolution. I've got the confirmatory. You have the declaratory.
Hold on, I might have it here for you, Grant. This is declaratory.
Okay, this is a declaratory resolution designating a portion of Davis County as an economic revitalization area for grain processing corporation. We talked about this at the last meeting, and this would be the second step in the process. Whereas the County Council of Davis County has determined that certain property located in the county at 1443 South, 300 West in Washington, Indiana, with title held in Grain Processing Corporation, and such property is specified in a certain application for tax abatement filed by Grain Processing Corporation, which is attached and included in your packet. Further description is attached as Exhibit A, and that real estate should be designated an economic revitalization area under and pursuant to Indiana Code 6-1.1-12.1-1 as amended. And whereas the council hereby finds that the real estate is an area which has become undesirable for normal development and occupancy due to a lack of development or other factors which have prevented a normal development of property or use of property, and that the designation of said area as an economic revitalization area would enhance the opportunity for the creation of new jobs. Whereas Grain Processing Corporation and its Vice President of Finance, Kevin Gady, following testimony from Davis County Economic Development Director at the council meeting today, anticipates increases in the assessed value of the real estate and anticipates making a significant investment of equipment and personal property for the proposed redevelopment of the subject property. And they've submitted documents which they've attached and included within your packet. And that includes a statement of benefits for real property and personal property in the application. Now therefore, be it resolved by the County Council of Davis County that, number one, the real estate is hereby designated an economic revitalization area within the meaning of Indiana Code 6-1.1-12.1. Number two, notice the adoption and substance of this resolution and all other documents and disclosures required by the Indiana Code shall be duly published in accordance with Indiana Code 5-3-1, which notice shall state a date for a public hearing on this resolution, and that on said date, which can be your next meeting or another meeting if you choose, the date after hearing objections and remonstrances and considering evidence thereon, this council will take final action determining whether the qualifications for an economic revitalization area and for this abatement have been met, and confirming, modifying, and confirming or rescinding this resolution. Number three, a copy of the above referenced notice shall be filed with the officers of each taxing unit that has authority to levy property taxes in the geographic area, which is hereby designated as an economic revitalization area at least 10 years prior to the public hearing for this resolution. So we have provided the draft resolutions for this to the auditor and to the assessor. Wanted to make sure that Denny was aware of what all was going on. He has been in and out of the office of late. He had a surgery. So I did talk to him this week, and I think he's got a handle on how it will work. Obviously, that office is going to change out here shortly, so I told him to loop in whoever he anticipates the next assessor will be. This will get, assuming you pass today, this will get advertised and noticed in the newspaper, and then at the next meeting that you choose, there will be a confirmatory resolution relative to this application.
Anything else from you all, or?
All right, thanks, Grant. If there's nothing further from GPC, we'll go ahead and ask for a motion to approve this resolution as presented by Grant.
So moved.
So moved by Tony Duncan. Do I-
Second.
Second by Mike Sprinkle. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposition, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you for being here and being a good part of Daviess County. We do appreciate it. Thank you. All right, we will.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Brian.
Thanks, Bryant.
Thanks, Brian.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
All right, additional appropriations. We have the cumulative bridge. And was Chris gonna be here to talk about that? So it's just basically the grant that we were given from Community Crossings that moves that $1 million into the account. If there's any questions about that? If not, do I have a motion to approve that appropriation?
So moved.
So moved by Mike Sprinkle, second. Second by Tom Schaefer. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposition, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Circuit Court. Per the description, he's transferring money to finish paying the cell phone bill for the remainder of the year. Any questions or concerns from that?
Is there just an increase in the charges, or we don't?
I don't know, if you'd like to ask that question, I mean, we can table it for next meeting.
Is there gonna be a committee to work on cell phone consistency and, I mean, my God, there's
plans everywhere. And we got,
That's a good question.
we started to put a lot of them together, you know, everybody has their own different plan. Denny has one, the jail has one, there's 3 or 4 in between.
Well, it's hard to imagine that the county's getting the best deal when we're scattered with all these different plans. I mean, taxpayers are the one that's paying for this. It's just not right. I don't believe it. Need to be fair and consistent.
Agreed. There has been, you know, I know there's been a movement to get all that information together, and I'm sure they'll continue to do so.
Is that our job or whose is it?
Really, the contracts come from the commission, and because they hold the contracts, we pay for it. So really need to get them involved.
Need to get a committee.
Correct.
With them.
Yeah, I think we can do that pretty easily.
Okay.
We'll start moving forward with that. Any other questions, or do you want to approve this for the end of the year, or would you like to table it for more explanation?
Move to approve.
All right, I have a motion by Tom to approve. Do I have a second? Second by Darren Holder. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously.
I would like to, and I think we briefly talked about this last month, Matt, but on these forms, on the transfer of fund forms, if we could get more explanation, then we're not guessing before we come into these meetings as to what some of it.
I have personally put in that request several times with the auditor to put that through. And, you know, at this point, if we do not get it, then it's, you know, we can always table it until we get additional.
And
I think, you know, just out of respect for us, we need that information, and there's times that we have tabled it, some of the smaller amounts we haven't, but I think they need to provide that, and I'll put in a formal motion that we get greater clarity on why we're doing this.
And you guys, once that's out there in the agenda, I mean, we can ask for, you know, we can email them, we can verify stuff, but
The only way to get it is to deny it a couple times.
There you go.
I mean, Kelly's, you know, it's contrasting what we saw today. Kelly's was great. A couple of the other ones haven't been, so.
Well,
It's the same.
It eliminates guessing though coming into the meeting.
That's the reason we asked for it years ago, was to fill that out at the bottom and explain to us what's going on. And some do, some don't, but Tony's absolutely right. you deny a couple of them and you'll start getting explanations on there then,
Okay.
so.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's what you need to do, because you don't get explanations like transferring funds. It's like, no kidding, right? You know?
Yeah.
So, all right. Anything else? Any public comment? Again, thanks to, Grain Processing Corporation for being a part of our community. We appreciate that.
Big
Anything-
part.
Anything else from the council? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved by Mike Sprinkle, second by Tom Schaefer. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Didn't think so? Okay, we're done. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it. Have a great day.